Amazing audience, we are live with Luis. Luis, what's your last name?
Martinez.
Martinez. Fits the hat.
Yes. Gotta go eclectic with it. So,
Well, it's good to connect with you, Luis.
Yes, sir. You too as well.
How are you doing?
Good. Yourself?
Nice to meet you.
Are you enjoying San Diego?
I am. It's a pretty interesting spot, I must say.
Cool.
Coming down south, the climate is getting warmer.
Yeah, then you have Mexico right here, so.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about just jumping across, just I could say I touched Mexico because Trinidadians actually do not require a visa to do that, yeah?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, should I jump across? And then, one guy from Mexico, he told me the border is pretty dangerous, like be careful. Is that true?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, everyone has their perception of it, but I don't think so. I mean,
You've been?
I grew up in Brooklyn, so asking me is yeah. So.
Yeah. You've been to Mexico once or twice?
Yeah. I actually played professional basketball in Mexico. So.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Like everywhere in the world, it has its hood, per se, but other than that, hey, it's all good. The people are good. As long as you treat them right, they'll treat you right. So, yeah.
I love that. Well, do tell me which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history?
Well, I am a strong advocate for Black tech and innovation, and I want to be able to use my, I guess, influence to bring awareness to that. So what I do is I actually host a monthly discussion series, and it's called The Psychology of the Black Entrepreneur. So what we do is we take any topic that plays the Black community and we correlate that with entrepreneurship. As a matter of fact, tomorrow we have a monthly discussion series session, and we're going to talk about the difference between being a small business owner and actual entrepreneurship or a startup enterprise. So people get the two mixed up, and so we want the Black community to understand these are two different things, two different entities, and we need to be very fundamental about our approach before we can get the community, buy-in as far as VCs or venture capitalists or anything that's complex. We got to kick it down to basics.
So that's super cool.
Yeah.
I think even entrepreneurs and small businesses didn't even know that there's a difference between entrepreneurship and a small business.
Yeah, it's so night and day.
Yeah.
Just when you're a small business per se, like let's say if you own a coffee shop, you are a small business owner. Like you're not an entrepreneur. Yeah. And a lot of people get crushed by that because now, say entrepreneurs, they think it's like the sexy thing, it's cool, I'm an entrepreneur, but in our actuality, it's a small business. When you're a small business, legally, you're binded to have a number of employees up under you. So there's a cap to that, Once you go past that cap, now you're considered a corporation, and the government comes down and says, hey, you have to change your entity because you have X amount of employees. So people don't understand that there's a limit on how much you can make that considers you a small business and how much employees do you have.
That's good. Like one of the things I have seen in my journey across many times and situations is that a lot of people are teaching like really content up here and they're teaching the basics because they take it for granted. I'm glad that you're doing that. Who did you learn that understanding of? Who did you learn how to simplify things from? Like, who taught you that?
Actually, my own personal experience, just being in the startup community. So I've been in the startup community here in San Diego for 3 years. And so you would go into these spaces and you wouldn't see much Black folks. So, you'll meet one, you probably met my good friend Jonathan.
Yeah,
so we're, kind of in cahoots with each other. And it's not that many Black folks. And what happens is you go into the communities and you just have a conversation with people, and they'll just say, yeah, small business and entrepreneurship, and they link them together. And I was like, you know what? The community, in order for the community to understand how economics works, they need to know the fundamental basics. So they complain about things like gentrification and people coming in the community and taking over. But you need to understand that small businesses is cool. Obviously, it runs America, small business. America always ran on small business. But to actually make change and empowerment in the community, it's about entrepreneurship or a startup enterprise, to where you can actually bring money into the community and make realistic changes.
Yeah.
So
Very powerful. Love that. What's the best place for people to connect with you?
you can connect with me on Instagram. It's Luisito the Entrepreneur. So let me spell it out. So it's Luisito Luisito _the_entrepreneur.
All right, cool. Yeah, you could always just put the link in there so people could just like click and get that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
for
What's
sure.
one other thing you've done consistently over the last 3 years?
I've stayed consistent. You have to, unfortunately, people don't want to talk about this, but when you're dealing with people in the Black community per se, one of the main things is people aren't consistent. And so, 1 minute it's this, and then the next minute is that. And so what I want to do is just stay consistent, show up to every meeting, be at almost every function, support each other.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm about. And I'm about bridging the startup community and the Black community together here in San Diego. And then once I do that, then I can go, in other places and do that. So that's my goal. And so I have several startups and things that I'm working on and trying to accomplish that goal.
What's your favorite startup?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like someone asking me, what's your favorite conversation? Yeah.
So right now, like I said, I'm doing the psychology of the Black entrepreneur. And so we have an event tomorrow. Starts at 11 a.m. So like I said, we talk about the differences between small business and entrepreneurship. So eventually, long term with that, I want to have it like a TEDx kind of style where I'm inviting other minority entrepreneurs to talk about their story and, their mess ups and, successes and all that good stuff and hear from other people. I don't want to be the only one up there just rah, rah, rah. But it becomes redundant after a while. But the main thing is I want people to understand that, especially here in San Diego, there are people of color that are running businesses, that are doing startups, that want to see San Diego kind of, I guess, accept us as, being in the tech innovation space. If not, we're just going to run through the door anyway.
Yeah.
But at least that's my mentality.
How does it make you feel to be that guy that is being consistent amidst the challenges that do occur with inconsistency?
Oh man, I mean, it's always a challenge, especially when you're going to deal with microaggressions when you enter a space like, no offense, but it's just the startup community, especially when there's a lot of times where I go to meetings and I'm the only, Black person in the room. And it took me a long time to actually feel comfortable in that. Now it's almost I relish in it because I like making people feel uncomfortable. I like telling my truth in front of people's face and seeing their reaction. And so I have that I don't care kind of thing. And, like I said, I run a lot with Jonathan, and so we're kind of like yin and yang. We're like, he's more politically correct, and I'm more like, So he's Martin, and I'm Malcolm. Yeah. So that's how we like to joke.
I like that.
Same message, same goal, but just go about it in different ways.
That's intriguing. Why would you suggest to someone that's listening that they do balance it off somewhat in representing their story, the yin-yang style? Why would you suggest they do that?
Because sometimes when you're just telling your story, like if I'm just telling you and I talk the same way to people out there, sometimes they kind of go like, well, he's just playing victim like every other person, and they don't necessarily take you serious a lot of times. But when you come in and you're very firm, obviously in a professional and a respectable manner, but you're very firm in your beliefs. And, even though when I came into the space, people were very welcoming, they were very helping. But sometimes you deal with a little bit of microaggressions and, some people kind of test you, but you have to be able to dodge those landmines, because when you react in a very aggressive way, they use that like, oh, now he's aggressive. And sometimes, I have to scale back my aggressiveness. So a lot of times I don't say much, because if I do, then it's going to be, we're going to have a problem. So I'd rather just wait for a while and then address it when the time is right. So you're going to run across that. It's kind of like, you're playing football and you see somebody coming at you. You see the play from afar. You just have to get ready, for the play and just accept it, and that's a part of the game, and just keep it moving.
I love that. That's good. That's good stuff. It is entrepreneurship as well. It is what it is.
Yeah, of course.
All right, let's switch gears for a moment. Let me invite you now into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm blue Caribbean water. Your hat reminds me of what, you're Caribbean, yeah?
Well, I'm going back to my roots because I'm originally from, my family's from Honduras. And so...
that is a Honduras.
Yeah, so, just kind of giving... so...
What is your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest, unfortunately, being a diehard Knicks fan.
Are you in the same zone with Jonathan?
Yeah.
So tell me about the memory.
Memory, besides being a Knicks fan, because that was a heartache. But playing basketball, just kind of like New York. If you know anything about New York and basketball, it's almost like American football in Texas. Or soccer in Brazil, or it's there's a basketball court on every corner, and so it's very competitive, and just at an early age playing organized basketball and actually being good to play in junior high, play in high school, play in college, and eventually I played a couple years professionally doing it as well, and so I played on all levels, as far as basketball is concerned. So.
Why do you think that memory is so clear?
Well, that memory is because that was the first love. That was the thing that kept me out of trouble. New York, when I grew up in the early 90s to mid 90s, it was very bad. I like to joke with people and say I'm from the old New York. And New York was very, very just out of control. And you had to have thick skin to survive. It still is the case, but not as bad as before. Where you walk and you saw people using drugs and dying and epidemics and stuff like that. So a lot of that frustration and that we're poor. I'm living in the projects. That embodied itself in basketball because everybody was trying to make it. So it only made the games tougher. It only made me tougher. If let's say we were playing basketball to a game to 10 points, whatever, right? It would be so many people there that if you didn't win, you might as well go home.
Yeah, you're not getting to play again.
You're not going to play again. So it was that survival of the fittest attitude on the basketball court that I grew up with. And so I correlated how I played basketball to how I go about my entrepreneurship endeavors.
I love how it connects.
Yeah, so I'm very just hands-on and just straightforward with it. So.
I love that. Can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind with that memory? Can I? Mm-hmm. I love the way the basketball court sits within a community where there are boundaries and rules that you still have to play by as things are operating on the outside, but it serves as a protection. But at the same time, it's the real game.
Yes.
One that can get you to winning or losing. And I love that.
Now, I'm going to flip it now.
Sure.
Now, the thing is that when you come into a space like, a startup space or a startup community, you don't know the rules. Now, it's like you're playing a road game. Now you have to go there. You have to learn all the rules. You have to learn all the lines, different culture, certain things people are like, they're not too sure about. And so they're not used to that. If you're just like, hey, how you doing? They're okay with that. But if you have a little bass in your voice, you have a bop in your step. Now it's like, oh, where is he from? Yeah. And I know that I don't give off that vibe. People know that he's probably come from a place where it's a little rough around the edges. Yeah. But you have to learn the game. You have to learn how to play within the rules. And so it took me years to learn that. Yeah. And I think a lot of people need to understand how to, and this is kind of going off on a different conversation.
No, I think you're good. I think we're on point in terms of what you're saying. If I'm correct and accurate, you can let me know, is that what you're saying is that, you are sharing with people how to get out of their own way.
Yes, yes. And a lot of times, people don't know how to actually collaborate with others and actually work with others. The best way you can do that is offer value. That is so underrated. People don't want to offer value. If if I say, hey, a videographer, and they want to come and they want to, film me, walk around meeting people and stuff, it's gonna be an equal exchange. So it's gonna be me telling them, hey, I want you to meet this person, I want you to meet that person. Maybe they may have a job for you, or maybe something may come up, or whatever the case may be, where I'm putting money in your pocket, or you're making valuable connections and relationships.
Yeah.
So I think people miss the boat on that. And anyone that's worked with me that knows that I give value, even if it's not monetary. And I think people lack the skills to actually network. So
I'm glad you're teaching people that. If we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
My favorite song, probably "Shook Ones" by Mobb Deep.
Shook Ones?
Yeah, part 2.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that signified the era in which I grew up in.
Yeah, it does. It represents a lot, right?
Yeah.
Especially Shook Ones, yeah.
But you can't really. But I mean, that song was inspiring to me. But I grew up in Brooklyn, so it's Biggie and then Jay-Z. So that's my go-to.
All right, my friend. Well, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form, so it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here.
Okay.
Ready for
right.
this?
Rapid fire. Let's go.
Have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yeah.
Are you married?
No.
Do you have children?
No.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yes.
What about screen time, phone and or computer? More than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
More.
If you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, what would you say that is?
That would be stay humble.
I love it. This was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Hey, I would just like to say, just stay strong. A lot of times people get caught off track and they get discouraged by whether it's they don't have enough money, people don't accept me, X, Y, and Z. Just keep it pushing. Trust me. That's all I gotta say.
Love
keep
it.
pushing.
My champion, thank you for being on What Is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Did you have fun?
Oh yeah, very fun.
Boom. Boo.